Hi, my name is Jason, and this is my one-day build. It is a Misty Copeland music box inspired by Adam Savage. So during the pandemic, I started 3D printing, and at the start of the pandemic, I started getting into Adam Savage's one-day builds, which was seldomly one day. And this too, I must confess, was not one day. This took me a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two actually, to complete. But it was the first time I made something that I felt like a maker. I've done some coding, if you could even call it that, and I feel like to call myself a coder would be insulting those who code, or to call myself a designer would insult people who design. Um, but this was the first thing I put together that I felt like a maker. I designed it myself. I um, I tried to code everything myself, but ended up using a um, the pirate audio from Raspberry Pi as a hat you put on top of it. Um, just because it ended up functioning better that way. Um, but before we show you the music box, I wanted to get into why I made it, and I have a bunch of videos I have to put out this weekend, which is why I wanted to put this out first because I didn't want it to get lost. Um, this is definitely one of the most beautiful things I've created to date, and it was inspired by a talk that Adam Savage did. It wasn't at a convocation, but it was at a university somewhere in 2014, and he was talking about the connection between art and science, and our misperceptions about both art and science, and the influences that art and science have on you know our world and vice versa. Um, what he says in that talk is that art and science is culture, and culture is the language. Culture is the conversation that we are having right now. And when I was done listening to that talk, I loved it so much. I sent it to all my staff. I made them watch it too. But I was trying to figure out, for me, how would I represent that talk and that connection between art and science, and the conversation we're having right now. And um, there are a lot of conversations we are having right now. But the one that stood out to me, the most during this pandemic has been the Black Lives Matter movement, and the conversation as a country we're having about race and identity. Um, and so during the pandemic, I stumbled on a series of photos on Instagram someone had posted about black ballerinas, and these were beautiful photos. Whoever took it was very talented. Um, and I tried to find it again and I couldn't. And I wanted to paint one of the pictures, and it upset me I couldn't find those posts again. So I started looking for it online, and I stumbled across Misty Copeland. Um, and I stumbled across some of her interviews with Barack and some of the stuff she's done, and talks she's done around identity. Um, and so I built this Misty Copeland music box, um, to that vein, because I thought this was an important conversation we were having right now in our generation. Um, but I don't want to get too much into that. I want to show you the music box. And so, see if it all plays. So the image on top I 3D printed, uh, and I spray painted it in rose gold, which then resulted in me being covered in glitter for the next few weeks. Um, and I 3D printed the LED housing, which we'll display in a moment, and I put the LEDs inside that bottom to create this really cool infinity light effect, which I really enjoyed. And the glitter actually made it better because from certain angles you can see the glitter really pop. And then from the top, it actually looks like she's submerged into water or into a pond. Um, and you'll see that photo in a second. And the lights, as you can see, they change different colors, and I can control that with a standard remote. So I can have it display just one color. I can have it pulsate. I can have it, do the chasing light thing. Um, I just think this was a really cool effect looking at it from above. So these are photos as I was building it, before it was completed, just trying to get that infinity effect to work. And so this is the bottom. When I was making it, I wanted it to be beautiful from all sides, so that no matter what angle you were looking at it, this there was something there. And so this is the bottom of the music box. I painted this picture of Misty Copeland. I think I found that on a magazine cover or something on the internet. And then as I said, I used the Pirate Audio hat on top of the Raspberry Pi. And initially, I wanted the Raspberry Pi to be displayed because I wanted to show that connection between art and technology and science, everywhere on the music box, which is why the wires are exposed and why I didn't hide, all these things. But a music box is definitely music, so I'm gonna show you that next. And there's two ways that this will play. The first is an analog way, and then there's a digital. So we'll look at the analog first. So that was Le Vion Rose. I think there's something to be said about that analog sound. That you just can't replicate that. But the second version is a digital version, and I can control the pirate radio hat from my phone. And so I loaded a couple playlists onto it. Um, I loaded the Pirates of the Caribbean onto it. I loaded a couple other things I listened to as meditation. I was going to load The Greatest Showman onto it, but I didn't. And then I loaded again another version of the Rose that we can listen to now. Thank you for watching. That is my 1 day build of the Misty Copeland music box.